I normally don't whoop, but when I do, there it is. This is Epic Thoughts. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Epic Thoughts. Hope you're doing great today on this wonderful Tuesday in the end of March. Happy spring to all my spring babies and all my people who like to support, all my HP and all my Epic thinkers. Thanks for showing up today. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for listening wherever you get your information from, Heritage Park or this podcast. I am glad that you are here today chilling with me. All right. Let's get right into it. There's some things on my head and things in my heart. I got to get out there. I got to put it out there for the world to hear. And once I do it, I feel like it's very important to share my heart with you on some things. I want to rap with you about some things. So I'm going to jump right into it. I don't know what to get into first. Let's talk about the movie first. I went to the movies yesterday, had a day off, and decided I was going to treat myself to a movie. So I went and finally saw the Jesus Revolution. I wanted to watch it. I wasn't really interested in it when it first came out, when they first released when they first released the trailer. And I meant to have the trailer. Sorry, I didn't have it. If those of you who have not seen it, you could take a look at the trailers on YouTube, the Jesus Revolution. It's a biography film, biopic of the growing of the beginning and the rise of Calvary Church, with Pastor Chuck Smith, Greg Laurie, and Lonnie Frisbee. Those three characters, basically the biopic of their story of how Calvary Church became what it became, and and after that, which grew into what we know today as Harvest Crusade. Harvest Church and the Crusades and things of that nature. And it was really cool. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. But if you haven't seen it, you can look at the trailer online. I knew it was going to be good because Greg Laurie does not, and Greg Laurie is the executive producer behind this film. He's the heart behind making this film. So I knew it was going to be good from the sense that Greg Laurie don't put out bullcrap, right? Greg Laurie does a really good job working and doing some good stuff. So I was confident there. I knew the quality was going to be there because he had big names like Lionsgate working with distribution. And again, this is Greg Laurie we're talking about. He's spared no expense. He's going to do a good job. So I knew that I was going to get a good quality film. Script-wise, I didn't know what I was going to get. Story arc, not so sure what I was going to get. But I went into this with an open heart and just was like, I'm just going to go watch it. Now, I purposely wanted to see it after the hoopla had ended because this is just me. It sounds like I'm very I'm very pessimistic by nature, so it's going to sound like I'm being a butthead. But I don't like going to see Christian films with a theater full of Christians, okay? Because I don't like the cheering when somebody says Jesus. Well, it was Jesus. Woo! I hate that. We went and saw The Chosen when Chosen came to the theaters. My mistake. The night of the release, and it was just like a rally. And that's my thing. I don't want church to be a rally anymore. I want it to be I want to have substance. I want to be part of something. And in saying that, watching the film reminded me of so many things that I've experienced in church and as being part of something bigger than myself. So with that, my honest review of Jesus Revolution was it was a really good film. It was a really good biopic. It was a really good story. It told a very cohesive story about the birth of Calvary, and it hit a lot of bullet points that I didn't know. It hit some that I did. There were some things that I didn't know about the relationship between Greg and his wife. There were some things I just didn't know. I was just basing off of stuff that he probably have said. I used to listen to him all the time on the radio, on 109 on 105.7, I believe it is, K-Wave. I used to listen to him preaching throughout the day, and he would tell stories of his childhood when he was dating and he married his wife. But it was cool to see those things. There were things I didn't know. Lonnie, the story that followed Lonnie Frisbee, I thought was very engaging and very interesting to see him kind of his upbringing, and then kind of like the fall or the filtering out of his life and how he removed himself from uh, Calvary. I thought everything was really well put together and well tasteful. Now, there's been some people who always complain, and there's always going to be people that complain. I should put that on t-shirts. There's going to be people that always complain, and people always complain. And some people made this complaint that Lonnie Frisbee had a deviant background, and he fell back into sin after after the he left Calvary and things of that nature, and he was struggling with some certain stuff, and he did reconcile, but he went back to his sin. I find it very sad, and I'm very offended. Not offended, but I'm mad because I'm like, first of all, we act like people don't have another side of them. We act like people don't battle stuff. That people don't have to. That people we don't let people have human situations and human experiences. Now, I'm not going to talk about Lonnie Frisbee's life after Calvary. Okay, if you really truly know, then you know, right? So that's I'm just gonna leave it at there. If you really truly know, then you know. But Lonnie Frisbee, bro, he had some things that he had to deal with, and you know what, just like everyone else. Can you imagine the pressure, or not the pressure, the anxiety that comes with you preaching the gospel to thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, and everybody's listening to you and everybody's paying attention, and they're hanging on every word you say, and you just can you imagine the pride and the struggle to not buy into the narrative that you're the ish, and I think that's what Lonnie had to deal with a lot in his life in those times, because I do wholeheartedly believe when eh, that everything that people have said about Lonnie. Now, I've never met him, but I have been part. Like for me, this movie was really good because the movie took place in the Newport Beach area, and in Greg Laurie's church is in Riverside. In the '90s, I was really connected to Harvest Church. I'm sorry, I've been trying to remember that guy's name, but he was the youth pastor for Greg Laurie. I worked with him, knew him personally. I actually performed at Harvest in 90, I want to say it was 97, 98, 99, when they had smaller stages in the parking lot of Angel Stadium. I performed on those stages. So to see this film was like a biopic, but it was also a walk down memory lane, because I would like to say, just from where I've come from in life, that I am a not a descendant, but I'm one of the reasons I'm here is because of that movement, right? Being an IE kid, growing up in the IE, being part of those things, being part of Calvary Church's stuff, being part of Harvest's things. Not our church was independent, but we were still strongly connected to those, and so those names were like godfathers to us. So to me, I felt like it was part of a heritage to be part of, to see that film. So I really enjoyed that. Um, so those names were not alien, right? Greg Laurie is not alien to us. Chuck Smith is not alien to me. Lonnie Frisbee is not alien to me. As a matter of fact, a guy who was there, we have a mutual friend that told me and my team that he was actually at the service with the wheelchairs depicted in the film. He sat a row behind the wheelchair, the guy, and so it's really close to home. It's very close to home. So with that being said, Lonnie did have some struggles, and if, like I said, if you know, you know, and if you're part of it, you really know what Lonnie went through. But again, at the end of the day, Lonnie had a heart for God. Like, you can have a heart from God and still fall short. People act like just because you love God that you don't sin. That's actually bogus, and that's BS to think. It's a bad, sick way of thinking, right? You can love God and have struggles. So I know that the comment world, I call them the comment world because they won't say nothing to your face. They'll just post stuff on social media and they'll put it in the comment section. And the comment section world will say, "Well, how can you call yourself a Christian if you do this?" Simple. I call myself a Christian. It don't matter what I do. It's not because being a Christian has nothing to do with what I've done. Being a Christian has everything to do with what Christ has done. It's not because of me, it's because of the work that Jesus did on the cross. Because Jesus has set me free, because of his work and what he's done, I am now Christian. It has nothing to do with me. I call myself a Christian because Christ has paid the price for me. So, with that being said, Lonnie Frisbee had his moments. He had some struggles. He passed in, I think, 99 or 93. One of the two died in 99, the other one died in 93. When he passed, did he pass in his sin? He passed, he still didn't overcome 100%. And I don't think everyone or anybody is going to pass 100% of their struggles, right? None of us are God. We're all going to have struggles. And most of us are going to have struggles till the day we die. And Lonnie is no different. Um, so I think people need to give him slack. I think people need to give him grace. People need to give him a break. And to those people who feel like the movie should have covered his sin or covered what he did wrong, that's disgusting. That to me, I think that's purely disgusting. That you think the movie's not good because it wasn't truthful, because it wasn't honest about what Lonnie did in his personal life, and even to an extent, Greg and Kurt, Chuck, Pastor Chuck. But I'm gonna say this: the movie, if that's what you're thinking, then you didn't watch the movie in the right heart. Okay, because the Jesus Revolution wasn't about what these men did; it was about what God did. And I'll take that into another level. When it comes to church and ministry, it's not about what the man does. I think we're so caught up and we're so stuck on what people do, and we're not giving enough thought or energy to what God does. I don't think we give enough credit to what he does. I don't think we give enough attention to what he does. I don't think we give enough of anything to what Jesus actually does. And because of that, we're just stuck in these ruts and we're stuck in these thoughts and we're stuck in these patterns and we're blaming pastors. We're blaming men for shortcoming. We're looking at people and saying, bro, you suck because you can't do this and or you can't live perfectly. Listen, there's nobody but Jesus that walked on this earth and was without sin, right? Even Joseph, who was running away from other women, like a woman grabbed Joseph's clothes and was like, yo, let's smash. And Joseph, he ripped the clothes off. Like, yo, you ain't getting me today, chick. And he ripped the clothes off. Can you imagine being rizzed so hard that you had to run away from a chick to the point of you had to, like, she got you by the clothes? I ain't never been rizzed this hard where a chick got me by the clothes and I have no other options but to strip down naked and run off. Right? That my friend is the epitome of holy. That Joseph was like, yo, man, I ain't gonna stay here and let you get me. And he ran out of his clothes and ran out the door. And talk about trip. This woman decides that she's going to lie to her husband as she's holding his clothes and be like, look, he left his clothes because I screamed so loud and I called rape. And see, and he ran out and I have his clothes to prove it. And wouldn't even believe his story. Okay. Even him, he was so holy and so pure. And on paper, Joseph did a lot of things right. He did everything right on paper. But you know what? Even when he was dealing in that stage, God was like, there's still a couple things you got to deal with. You got character issues. You think you're perfect. You're not perfect. He's running around telling people, I got this dream that you're going to worship me. That he wasn't perfect, even though he had some moments. So listen, Lonnie Frisbee, all these people, we're, and the list goes on, especially of late, of all these pastors that we have crucified throughout the years because of different things. And I get it. Like, I get it. It's hurtful as a believer. Let me say this. As a believer, when you hear stories of pastors falling, it shouldn't rejoice. You shouldn't be rejoiceful of it. You should be sad. We should be sad when a man and woman of the faith have a moment where they fall and they fall hard. Um, we should be sad and we should grieve and we should pray for them. We shouldn't talk about them. We shouldn't post videos online. We shouldn't comment about what we think they should do because at the end of the day, we're not there. The one thing I really hate about social media, if you notice, I haven't been on social media in a while because I don't people have lost the concept of context. You lost the concept of context. And I see videos online, I see different things going on, and people are talking about it. Well, if I was there, I would, but you're not there. You don't know the context of what was there. You don't know the context of why that church service they say what they say. You don't know why in context at that party this activity happens. So every video we see lacks context. And so if it lacks context, we shouldn't have commentary. Like they should take away the comment section of these videos because if there's no context, why have the video? I mean, why have commentary when people can't see the context? It's just irritating. And it goes to show if you read the comments long enough, you start to see how ignorant and stupid people really are. So this is how it works. This is how it is. You start to see how stupid people really are. And you're just like, yo, son, you're dumb. And so we should be heartbroken when ministers fall. We should be sad. We should be praying for them. If you got so much to say about Joel Osteen or Carl Lentz, pray for them then. If you got so much to talk about, pray for them. If you want to throw them under the bus so bad that their shortcoming makes you laugh or you rejoice in their shortcomings, bro, you need to check yourself because there ain't nothing wrong with them. There's something clearly wrong with you. Now, yeah, there is something wrong with them. They need help, but you need to check yourself too. And you know what? At the end of the day, I am, you are, everyone. We're one decision from being them too. Like what Carl Lentz did, it was heartbreaking. You know what a lot of these pastors do is heartbreaking. But if you really look at it critically, you're one decision away from that situation too, right? And everyone says, shoot, I would never do it. It's funny to me when I hear people talk about, I would never do something like that. I would never do what such and such did. I had a pastor friend who was really, we don't talk much, but he's a very smart man. We don't talk much. We had a small falling out that we should not have had. And he says, we would always talk about ministers. He would say, my brother pastors out here falling, man. They're cheating on their wives. It's crazy. It's sad. And we just need to pray for them. And I said, yeah. And he goes, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never had women shoot their shot with me. So I gotta pray for myself because I don't know what I'd do if someone shot their shot at me. And it's hilarious because it's the truth. Like we think we know what somebody else should do, but we have no idea what we would do if we were given the same circumstances. If we were given the same amount of circumstances as Lonnie Frisbee, can you imagine preaching and all of a sudden you realize, yo, I have a connection with half these people in this building. There's like 500 people here, and all of them know who I am because they've connected with me at some level, and they look at me to lead. And God answers my prayer, and God meets my need. And when I say, God, I'm hungry, I need food, God provides me food. Can you imagine? That's something. And if you're not really humble and ready to accept that, it could eat you up alive. So that's my defense to Lonnie Frisbee. The other thing I want to point out in this movie that it did not share that I think people need to know, and it'll just add more context. During the stage in this film where the stage was set, Lonnie was not that old. Like in the movie, yeah, he's the guy who plays Lonnie is a grown man. I can't think of his name, but I call him Jesus because he's Jesus on The Chosen. But in context, I believe Lonnie was like 19. When he met Chuck Smith, he was 17. And I think he left Chuck close to 20. He was a young dude. Like he was, these guys weren't 20-year-old people. They weren't even 20. They were like babies. So there's another thing to be said. Like he was in a really young marriage. He was very young. He was a vagabond. He was traveling the world, but he had left home early, and he just kind of trying to find his way. So Lonnie was not an old dude. He wasn't like an old head when he left Chuck Smith. He was still in his, if I'm not mistaken, he was like 20. And I think at that time, Greg was like 17. So they were kids during this time. These aren't grown men. These are kids. Now, even at that age, even though that age is clearly it's adult like age, but there's still discipleship needs to happen, mentorship and things of that nature. And I feel like if you look at a story from that perspective, you can see the pressure on even Pastor Smith's side, where he felt like he failed them because he didn't mentor them like he wanted to. Like, can you imagine being 19 and somebody hands you the keys to a church? Like, I poop my pants. I'd poop them. Like, that's just abnormal. But overall, I thought the film was very good. It was very entertaining. I personally was inspired. There was a couple of moments in the film. I'm not going to ruin it and talk about the film in detail. There was a couple of moments in the film where I got teary eyed because I didn't realize this until watching the film. That even though I'm very pessimistic about the things of God, and really, really, God's dealing with me on some lot of things when it comes to like my personal understanding of God, of ministry and stuff like that. I started to feel this desire to be part of something like that again. Like to be part of a movement. Almost wanted to go to like Pirates Cove and jump in the water. I know people have done that since the film, and that's not too far from here where the studio is. So I just I had these moments of like, yo, I would like to see a move of God again. So with that being said, it was like I think it took me out of my game plan for the rest of the day. That I was just in a quiet place, and I was contemplating, and I was thinking, and I was just thinking like, God, man, what would you do if I said yes again? You know, um, let's be honest. Sometimes we don't say yes. We keep saying, "Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready." But I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't gonna lie to you. No cap. I don't. I'm not mentally ready. Like if God said, "Bro, I want you to do this in the ministry again," or relaunch the Heritage Grace Church, I honestly would tell him, I don't know if I'm ready. There's some things I just need healing in some areas, but I'm willing enough to take it on full steam, take it on head on. I've done that here at Hope, and so taking over Hope Recovery Center. It's just been a journey, and I love God enough to do it and trust that He's got everything in control. So it's kind of scary because I know I'm kind of just working it out through this podcast, I guess. I'm realizing that God may very well be moving on my heart to do something like that and really make some efforts towards something, to bring God back into people's lives. Because I will tell you this much right now: the church is lost. The church is lost. The church is struggling, not financially, but it's hard to find their way. And people are looking for something real, and people are looking for something tangible. People are looking for community. People are looking for the truth. And I'm not saying that churches aren't giving it, but this is a different type of world than it was in 1968, when the that's the point of reference for the film. It started in like 68. It's a different type of world. The younger generation was different. They were into but they were also the same. So like our young generation are the same. They're looking for truth. They're looking for realism. They're looking for something else. Um, they just have a lot of information coming at them, and they can test things. They can test theories really, really fast. All I gotta do is Google your fact, and I could tell you whether somebody thinks it's right or not. And if I can't, I don't have to be alone in the world. So if someone gives me information or that I don't like it, or I need to confirm it with somebody, I can just go online and go on Twitter and just spend 10 to 15 minutes, and social media, Instagram, Twitter will find people that believe what I believe or think what I think, or they'll give me something that makes me feel alive, and it keeps me there because the algorithm right there is just so shady. So it's going to take a real tangible move of God to make somebody put down the phone and really latch on to what God is doing. Do I believe that's possible? Absolutely. I'm seeing it happen in Arbery. What's happening out there has been crazy, ridiculous. And then there's been factors of it all over the world. However, I really want to see it. I want to see a catalyst to spark this other retro thing, and make it about something, and maybe that this could be the last um move of God that we need right now, because I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not going to get much better. I hear a lot of pastors talk about the last days, and for 10 years now or 20 years, I'll hear people talk about the last days, and I just roll my eyes. I can't debate that it's not the last days. Like if this is from somebody who reads the scripture, and I understand people ask me a lot of questions. What do you think about this? Listen, we are in the last days. Like, I have to concur. This is it. We don't have much time left. I know that there's another move of God, but with that being said, this is the last days when it's hard to deny prophecy. It's hard to deny what you see the government doing, what you see the UN doing, what you see Iran and Syria coming to a truce, and then joining, and then the truce will fail out, and then Iran decides, psych, there's no truce. When you see all this stuff happening in other regions of the world, the pestilence, the starvation, how poor people are getting, hunger, just our world is stricken with hunger. I don't think people in America really understand or grasp the concept that hunger is a very, very real thing, not only just in the world, but in America. When you see the amount of children that go to bed hungry in this country, just in America, it'll break your heart. As a matter of fact, I think it's over now, but there was a strike in the LA Unified School District. And one of the problems with having this strike was there were kids that couldn't, their only way to eat was through school. They had school lunch and breakfast programs, and that was the only way kids were getting meals because their families were so poor they couldn't even get food. And that breaks my heart because every weekend there's a group of young people from our most biggest churches in America driving to LAX, but they drive on the 101 or the 110 to get to or the 105 to get to LAX so they could fly to Africa so they could take a picture with a little black boy, but they're driving over black hungry Americans. It's just heartbroken, and they can't get EBT to them. They can't get food. We can't grow stuff out there. It's become just very sad but real experience. And when you see stuff like that, and when you hear about the lack of attention to it, it's clear and it's evident that we're at the end. When churches are not preaching the gospel anymore, and you see these churches saying stupid stuff online or having conversations, you could tell that this is the end. You know, this, I guess, is a good caveat to go into my next subject, because when you have people, and no other way to say it, another way to put it, but you have people declaring war on our children. And I'm not talking about the argument of gender identity in our schools. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. I'm not even going to touch that. Like, that's just stupid stuff if we're having that conversation. I'm talking about actual war, physical war. I never thought I'd get to the point where dropping my kids off at school is like playing Russian roulette. And now parents, I'm a parent. I can't take my kids to school without thinking, my God, is this the last time I'm going to see them? Because almost every day there's a mass shooting somewhere in this country. And the biggest target seems to be our schools. It sickens me to my core. If you haven't been watching the news, we had another shooting at a school, a private school in Nashville yesterday, Monday, March 27th, my birthday. We had a mass shooting at a private school in Nashville. And this person walks on the school campus. Well, doesn't walk on campus. Their doors are locked. Took a loaded AR-15 and shot her way into the school. Shot her way into the school. Shot her way into the hallways. Opened fire on several kids. Killing 7 total. The death toll was 6 last night. Another person was injured, passed away in the hospital overnight. So now the death toll is at 7. I don't know the age of the 7th person, but amongst the 6 that originally were reported dead, 3 of them were children between the ages of I think 8 and 9. I never thought that I had to play Russian roulette with my own flipping kids. It just bothers me. I take my kids to school every day. And when we get to the school, we have to pray. And we pray in the car. We pray that the blood of Jesus covers them. And I'm not saying this, and I don't want people to comment, but like, well, you just need to have hope. And you just need to have faith that God hears your prayers. No. That's not something you should think about for your kids. You should never have to be that fearful to let your kids go to a place that you believe was supposed to be safe. And while we're having, in my opinion, the gun conversation that our government is having is so petty, and it's so surfacey, because I don't understand how people can't wrap their head around stop effing fighting. We have kids that are dying. There's being fearful of school should not be on getting shot at school. Like, try that junk in a little message to the people who are walking into these schools and killing these kids. How much of a punk do you have to be? You sorry SOB. You can't fight real grown folks. You can't walk up into real grown folks' home and take a grown man and woman who's armed and deal with them. You have to. How bad of a person, how of a soul do you have to open a weapon on a child? And our government is talking about gun rights and gun control laws. And if someone has the capacity to walk into a school and open fire in a school, a gun law would never have stopped that person. If we get rid of all the guns, if we get rid of all the ARs, do you think that's going to stop an insane person, a criminal, a person that no conviction towards somebody's life, doesn't care about a person's life? You think that's going to stop them from getting access to a gun and shooting a school? Do you really think that we already lost the battle of adding more laws? Are you kidding me? We have laws in place to stop this stuff from happening, right? You can't take an AR-15 on a school property. Are you kidding me? And then the argument is, well, what if we get rid of all you okay? Let I don't understand. What else have we gotten rid of that we don't need? Cocaine is still here. We still got kids in school dying from fentanyl. We're like, are you kidding me? Do you honestly think that the conversation is not doing anything anymore? We have kids dying in school. They're supposed to be learning math and arithmetic, but they have to stop and learn how to duck bullets. I didn't bring my kids to Rancho and all these different cities and these safe cities just to have to be afraid and have to teach them how to duck and dodge bullets. It's just saddening. My heart's broken. My heart has been broken for years. I don't talk about it much because it's people make it popular to be hurt, But Sandy Hook, I think Sandy Hook was the one that hurt me. No, Columbine hurt me pretty bad because there was a connection there. There was a young lady in Columbine that was supposed to go to Master's Commission, and it was just a sad story. The Master's Commission was the ministry school I was part of. But I would say that Sandy Hook broke my heart the most because those were babies. They didn't do anything to you. And I think they were the same age as my twins at the time. Sandy Hook those kids were the same age as my twins. And I just can't help but think that could have been my babies. Now I gotta find a way to pay for them to go to a private online school because that's the goal. I want them to go to my homie guy's school, Valor Global Online. Check it out, man. If you got a kid, Valor Global Online, my homie Doug Wood. It's a great school, man. Every time I work with him and I get to see the students and see his kids, they just they shine so tough. And I kept thinking to myself, I need to get my kids in there because I'm not gonna keep sacrificing my kids to this bullshit. I'm not going to. If I have to work 4 jobs to get them in there, I'm not gonna sacrifice my babies for that. That's just stupid. I can't do it. I just decided right now. Can't do it. The gun violence in this world it needs to change. But if we're at the end, it's not going to change. As you could tell, some of you are like, well, Ro, that's hitting you hard today. Yeah, it is. Because I also have another story on the same level. A cousin of mine was murdered. A baby cousin, 22 years old, was gunned down in Miami about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago now. He was gunned down in Miami. I don't know the stipulations of the story. Some stories I've read was that there was an argument or this was a result of some kind of fight. But the thing that sickens me is there's video footage on social media of it. Like there's literally video footage of somebody took a phone and recorded my cousin getting shot. And it's sad that we live in a country where I can't say anything. I have a friend who got who was put on YouTube suspended them for a week because they said something that made them uncomfortable. They said something that was against YouTube's guidelines. Facebook has guidelines. You can't say certain things or else you'll get muted. They have all these rules to protect them for disinformation. But they don't have rules against porn. They don't have rules against showing murder on their streaming platform. They don't have rules against child pornography. Can you see how sick that is? I can't give information that they deem as threatening. I can't, not threatening, but I can't give information out that their supporters don't agree with. If I go too right on the subject, I get muted. I actually went right on the subject. I didn't even go right on the subject. I made a joke on an Instagram um, live, right? I responded to my friend. We have an inside joke, and it was about men being dogs, something like that. And my friend was posting something, and she said something kind of out of pocket, like "ha ha ha," and I commented back like "ha ha," because men are trash, ha 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 ha. And as soon as I clicked that, Instagram took me off and kicked me off, and sent me this very, very, very interesting email saying that if you use hate language like that again, you will not be able to use Instagram's platform. Now, that being said, you kicked me off for a joke that was very light, and I get it. We don't want to offend anybody, but you put my cousin's murder on your platform. They put my cousin's murder on their platform. They didn't let nobody, they didn't make no one take that off. TikTok did too. That's how we got information. We knew about it, but when we went looking for it, we could find information on TikTok and see a video that people posted. We are so twisted. And we have the audacity to think that we're leading the way when it comes to godliness. We do. We're very narcissistic. We think we lead the way when it comes to godliness. We think when God moves, he's going to America first. We think that the ways of the revelations and the revelation knowledge and the end times are like the coming of the new revivals coming from us. Bro, we can't even get our pastors to stop looking at porn. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? We can't get our married pastors to get off OnlyFans. Are you kidding me? We have worship leaders on OnlyFans talking about holiness. We can't even get our stuff together. Sure, we have these pockets of pastors who are doing great. Don't get me wrong. But we got pastors, the stories just go on. And you've seen them, you've heard them, you talk about them. We should be praying. We should be on our knees, shouting for God to hear us. And God's grace is sufficient for all of us. It really is. But we have to start praying and asking for grace, living and breathing in grace, and continue to stay steadfast and unmovable when it comes to the things of God. Holiness is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But it only becomes real when it's tested. So is faith. So is love. The greatness of it is only real when it's tested. I know I was on the rant and I probably made some of you uncomfortable today. That wasn't my goal, but this is real stuff that's happening. And I'm not the only one. There are people who are losing people every day. 3 families lost their babies yesterday. They took their babies to a private Christian school. I believe it was a Christian school, but it was private. And probably had plans. They probably had soccer games or baseball games this weekend. They probably had birthday parties that they were invited to. Or maybe they were coming up upon a birthday. Maybe they had a situation, or maybe they were planning for their summer trip. Maybe they were getting ready for spring break and they were so excited because they get to go camping with their mom and dad, and they love going camping with moms and dad. What did they do to this person that walked on the school and had this plan? The police said it. She had this plan. What did they do to this person to make this person say, I'll show that 9-year-old and walk on the school and in that 9-year-old's life? I know it's demonic. Don't get me wrong. I know it's demonic. But the easy way that the demons can move, that tells me that we ain't praying enough. If the demon had access like that and just can freely move, I can't. I know I haven't been on social media in a while and haven't been doing Epic Thoughts in a minute, and I know I need to get back into it. This is one of the reasons why. I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot to share, and it's going to be controversial. But I think it's time for some realness, right? I think it's time for some realness in the body of Christ. I think it's time for some. We need to do some heavy lifting. So I love you guys. Hope you love me too. I didn't mean to ruin your Tuesday evening or whenever you're watching this, but I want you to be encouraged. Um, I want you to keep your head lifted up high and keep praying. Right, God's doing a new thing, but I also want you to share the gospel, man. I want you to get into a rhythm of knowing and understanding what the gospel is, and you can share it to your loved ones and people close to you, because this thing is coming to an end. The scripture says in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, blessed are the heavens and those who dwell amongst them, but woe to the earth, because the devil is coming to you and he's full of fury because he knows his time is short. So with that being said, keep your head up, keep your heart open, continue to pray. Okay. HeritageParkPROD.com. Find all your information on Heritage Park stuff. We've been on a hiatus because I've been on a hiatus. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I have not been working hard as I should, and I'm going to change that today. That's why I forced myself to do it. Maybe we'll get back on a conversation about that. 848-207-2631. That's our message group. Text us and get part of what's going on with Heritage Park. Man, I love you guys so freaking much. I thought I had an announcement to give. I don't think I have any more announcements. But we'll be back next week. Hopefully get some guests on here pretty soon. But stay strong, man. Keep praying. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. And I'll talk to you soon, all right? Have a great one.